Yes, everyone, welcome along to the Celtic View Podcast, your home of the back-to-back Scottish Premiership champions. I hope you all enjoyed the weekend's action and seeing Celtic deliver the title once again. As ever, this week I'm joined by our Celtic View editor, Paul Cuddihy. Paul, how did you enjoy Sunday and delivering the title?
It was wonderful. It was inevitable, but it's always, whenever it happens, it's just, I don't think anybody ever tires of us being the champions of Scotland, and it was, the scenes at Tynecastle and then the scenes here at Celtic Park were just incredible.
Absolutely amazing. We're going to have so much to go through. In this podcast, we've got obviously the title celebrations. We've got a derby match coming up this weekend as well to look forward to. As well as that, we're going to get Infuse's reaction from Tynecastle. We've got an interview with Martin Compston as well, who's talking all about his love for this team under Ange Postecoglou. And we've also got a massive game for the women's team this week. And there's also a Glasgow Cup final as well for the B team. So there's so much to get through. But let's start at Tynecastle on Sunday. A 2-0 victory for Celtic to deliver the title. Just how much did this team deserve this title and the way that they've played the football that they have done this season?
Obviously we did deserve it. Whoever wins the league, sometimes you have to admit grudgingly, because that's the whole point of playing 38 games. It's the team that finishes top deserves to win. We've dominated Scottish football really since the manager's come in, and after that there was kind of first 2 or 3 months where, a couple of months where people were thinking it was a bit ropey and there was a lot of people casting doubt on the manager, but I think he just stuck to his principles and knew it was going to work out. And this season, it was interesting, the manager said it, the captain said it, other players said that they wanted to come back this season and be better, be stronger and deliver it in even more emphatic style. And the fact that we've won 31 of the 34 games to be the champions speaks for itself. We've only had 1 defeat in the whole campaign so far, and that level of consistency is unbelievable. And I think, as a fan, you can watch it and you can appreciate it. I don't think, as a fan, you can probably appreciate just how much effort that takes from the players day in, day out, week in, week out, to have that level of consistency. It's just a phenomenal level, and nobody can live with us.
Yeah, I think we'll probably get a proper opportunity at the end of the season once all the games are finished to really reflect on the campaign so far and what this team's achieved, because we can talk at the moment about everything that they've done, which is unbelievable, but they're still going to be going for a potential points record, a potential goals record. We've still got another trophy to win as well. So I think maybe at the end of the season you'll get a proper opportunity. However, it still doesn't take away from the fact that the football we've played this season has been absolutely unbelievable. As you said, the consistency levels to win the number of games that we have, currently sitting at 95 points. We've got more points than we amassed last season already as well. And I think that's the amazing thing about this team, is that they've not just come back and won the league, they've done so at a level that was even greater than last season, and we all loved last season so much as well.
Yeah, we've spoken about it a few times, I think, and over the years, and obviously I've seen a few more title triumphs and successes for Celtic than you have, but there's different ways that we've won. But I think what's been brilliant over the last couple of years, it's not just the fact that we've won, it is the style that we're playing. I think people are going to the games, they're loving the football we're playing. I think it's brilliant for young fans as well that we have like proper heroes. I think every Celtic team needs heroes that young players can aspire to. So, whether that's Kyogo, whether it's Jota, Maeda, Callum, McGregor, there's a whole raft of players within that squad that everybody, and especially young fans, resonating with them. So I think it's great. But you're turning up at games, and it's all, if we have a kind of run of the mill 2-0, it's like you're expecting the kind of free flow football. This team's shown that there's different ways to win and they can do it. But I think overall the football that we've watched, I think over the last couple of years, has been as enjoyable as many of us can remember.
And we all would have wanted to have won the title at Celtic Park. We've got 60,000 fans there. We won it at Tynecastle, where there was maybe only about 1,400 fans there. Unfortunately, we didn't have the full stand for the away section. But still, at a ground like Tynecastle and a game like that as well, it's still always quite a nice place to win a league title sometimes.
I think it's I agree with you. It'd be great if we could won it here, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we're amongst friends when we're at
Yep.
Tynecastle. The celebrations looked absolutely amazing.
They were.
You know, and again, just, you know, the players going on and just that kind of spontaneous celebration in front of the Celtic fans, and you know, that was great. And obviously a lot of fans gathering back here. And again, for players that are maybe just quite new to the club, and some of the players again this season, it's their first title triumph, to enjoy that and then to come back and see what it means to so many people. It's just a reminder of how big this club is.
I know the scenes back here. I didn't get back to the stadium after the match, but the scenes looked unbelievable. The shots from high up on the roof, and you could see however many thousands of Celtic fans were out there. It's just incredible, as you said. It just sums up this club. And I think also, you know, we've won plenty of league titles in recent years, but I don't know, the connection between the support base and the players and the manager and the club in general just feels to be so strong at the moment. There just seems to be this synergy between both sets.
I mean, I think that's comes from the manager first of all, is the kind of leader, and you know, whenever he speaks, it's pitch perfect. You know, the club, this club, and who we are and what we stand for and what we represent, and our background, our foundation resonate with him and his own story as well. And you can tell, you know, I think he's always been confident in his own ability as a coach, and just looking for that opportunity to get a bigger stage, in a European stage. And he's also not only proven that he's a great coach, but I think in terms of, you know, Australian football, other Australian coaches, I think he's kind of leading the way. So you know, you can see the reaction back in Australia whenever he's successful, because I think they take it as, you know, as kind of vindication of him as a coach, as a person. But then I think that kind of resonates through the type of players, the type of people that he's brought into the club. You know, the captain, Callum McGregor, is just, for me, he is, I always think, the first name in the team sheet. He's the guy that makes everything tick. But I think just as importantly, it's what he does off the park to create this kind of team that look as if they obviously love playing football. They obviously love being part of this squad, and I think that reflects in how, as you say, how the fans respond to them.
Yeah, I think you could probably sit here and have about 10 podcasts to go through every single player that has contributed this season, because they've all been absolutely outstanding, and then we could have another 10 just to speak about the manager as well. But that ability to come into pre-season, where he said after the game that there's always a worry when you win something, is that hunger still always going to be there, and that desire to come back again. The message in pre-season is we need to come back stronger. He said that to the fans at Celtic Park before in title celebration day last season, and we did. We've just hit an absolutely different level, and consistency levels are just absolutely frightening as well. And now the message again is going to be for next season to come back stronger. And you're looking at it just now and you're like, how can you actually improve in this? But that's the commitment that the manager's got to try and make this club better. And all of the players that he gets in, we speak about, it's not just the player, it's the person as well. And they all buy into it, and they all want to come back stronger as well. So you can just only look up with this team, can't you?
Yeah, and I think what separates, you know, to be a Celtic player, and anybody who comes to the club, there's always a good chance that you might win something, but it's the ability never to rest on your laurels and be happy to say, right, I've won a league title, I've won a cup, but almost to put that to one side and then come back again, put the next one to one side, come back again, you know. So that's why people like James Forrest and Callum McGregor have that longevity. That's why Scott Brown had that longevity, and all the great players. And you know, the great Tommy Burns quote was, you know, when he was asked about his greatest achievement, he said it was staying at a club like Celtic for so long, because bad players or ordinary players don't stay at Celtic for 14 years. And I think that's what you want. You need those players, you know, like Callum McGregor, James Forrest, even Greg Taylor, Joe Hart, who almost each season, it's almost like it's their first season again, they want to go again, they want to keep winning. And that's the core of, you know, you bring other players and they kind of feed off that as well. And you know, last season we won the league and the League Cup. You know, this season we've been in the Champions League. We've got a good chance of winning the Scottish Cup, which would be a treble if we can beat Inverness Thistle. So next season you want to replicate that success and then have an even better campaign in Europe. So there are always targets to achieve. You know, the manager said on numerous occasions over the last few weeks that he will be strengthening the squad, and I think that's the nature of, you know, strengthening from a position of success. So what excites me as well is that, you know, when you look at the players that the manager's brought in, it just excites me of who else he's going to bring in, because just the type of players, the type of personalities that from day one that he's brought in, I think again the fans have just taken to.
In terms of the match that sealed the title for us, the 2-0 win at Hearts, I mean, it was a tricky game. First half, I thought Hearts performed well. They came out at the front foot. They obviously have a lot to play for themselves as well, and they put us under a bit of pressure. Without Joe Hart having too many saves, it didn't really have much to do really in the full match, but definitely in that first half, it did put us under some pressure. I mean, the red card probably is a key moment in the game, definitely. Maybe a turning point, I'm not sure, because I would have still had confidence the second half would come out and win the game anyway. But to go out there, second half, get the job done, Kyogo getting his 30th of the season, his 50th in total for the club. And also, it's quite funny how sometimes in football you can have those moments where everything feels like it's a full circle. To do it at Tynecastle, where that was Kyogo's debut. It was the first league game for the manager as well, in which we lost. And I think probably after that game there was a lot of head scratching or a lot of questioning, how big is this rebuild that we're going to have? What's the task at hand? So almost to have that full 360 and to win it at Tynecastle, Kyogo to get his 50th goal, was quite a special moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think Hart started the game well, but for me, even before the red card, I think what you saw, you know, teams can start off with that high energy and trying to press us, but it's almost impossible to maintain that over the course of the 90 minutes. And I thought, you know, even before the red card, we'd settled into the game and started to play our football, because you can't play at that level against us, because, you know, we're just relentless, and I think teams know over the 90 minutes it's very, very difficult. It was definitely a red card, regardless of what other people grumbling just because Hearts were obviously making a game of it. But a red card's a red card. It doesn't really matter, you know, who it's against, or, you know, whether people think it spoils the game as a spectacle. You know, the referee, you know, all other things being equal, as we saw at other games at the weekend, you know, it's you know, I don't know what the debate is, but it was great that, you know, Kyogo has been just a phenomenal player. And again, I think, you know, it's his goals obviously that get the headlines, but I think fans can see, you know, there might be games where he doesn't get that many touches in the ball, but he's so central to everything we do in terms of the amount of runs he makes. I love the fact that he makes all these runs and maybe 9 times out of 10 for whatever reason the ball doesn't come to him, but he never puts his head down. He just goes back and makes another run. He presses the ball when we don't have it, and I think his work rate for the team is just unbelievable. And then you add in the fact that he's just always there for goals. It's
always similar goals as well, like the one he got on Sunday when he scored in the game that was at the 3-0 game in the Scottish Cup away to Tynecastle. It was the same movement, but that time he had to be back heel to put it in. But how many times does he score goals like that where he's just in the 6-yard box running across the front post and flicks it in? It's amazing, but no one can deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that striker's instinct. He's also just so fast and clever, and it's just those slight movements that, you know, can just take a defender away. And again, I mean, I remember the manager speaking quite recently saying that when he was playing it, you know, when his team in Japan had played Kyogo's team, and he was a player that his team hated playing against, because even if you knew what the danger was and you thought you knew what he could do, his movement and his intelligence makes it impossible. You know, the fact he scored now 30 goals this season, 50 overall, and that's, you know, when you reflect on the fact he missed almost half of last season as well through injury, he's been a phenomenal signing for us.
Yeah, he's really quickly has become a kind of modern day icon at this club, hasn't he? And I think he's going to be one of those players that when his time eventually does come to an end at Celtic, that in 10, 15 years to come, 20 years to come, we're all going to look back and remember his goals and the memories of Kyogo. So yeah, just a player to sit back and enjoy at the moment. And then getting the second goal as well, which is a great moment for him, because obviously he's come into the club in January and has had to play second fiddle to Kyogo because of the number of goals he's been scoring. So when he comes in, needs to take his opportunities like everybody else does in this team when they come off the bench, and that'll just be a great moment for him. He knows the day that we won the title, he can say he was in the score sheet, and hopefully it's another one of many to come for all.
I also think that goal illustrates, you know, how the manager has used the squad and how he's used the 5 substitutes so well. You know, I don't think there's anybody that's done it better than us in terms of knowing when to put players on, who to put on, and actually, quite often in the past you would say that, you know, maybe a team could become disjointed if you make too many changes, but actually we just seem to step up a gear, and that goal was like 3 substitutes combining to score, which I think is indicative of the way we're playing. And also I think what's been really great is that, you know, we don't have any players that, obviously they all want to play, but none of them seem to sulk when they're not playing. They just come on and the manager's looking for substitutes to make an impact, and invariably they do. The amount of times our substitutes come on and they're either scoring goals or setting up goals is incredible. And yeah, I think it's great for a young player. I mean, he's still just a really young player. His first 6 months at Celtic, I think he'll really benefit from a pre-season. But you can just tell again, he's loving being at Celtic. You know, you can see it in the way he's playing, you can see it in the way he's part of the celebrations, and you know, the South Korean manager, Jurgen Klinsmann, is very much aware of him. So I think it's a great place for him to be, and yeah, I think we'll see even more from him next season. Yeah, I think we will. I'm sure everybody has soaked up all the post-match interviews from Tynecastle and at Celtic Park, but I think it's another good opportunity to look back in some of them. So let's take you back to Tynecastle and back onto the pitch straight after full time to get some of the reactions from the title-winning Celts. Callum, you've just been getting serenaded off the Celtic fans there. Just try and sum up how this feels.
Yeah, honestly, so proud. So proud of this group of players, so proud of the club. The task at the start of every season is to win the league, and I think we've done it in better fashion than what we did last season, which tells you a lot. And I think there's still more to come for this group, so that's the beauty of it. I think we just keep working, we keep going. We've still got a really strong end to the season, and we have to keep working.
This feeling doesn't get old, does it?
No, never. Honestly, the fans have been so special all season. It's such a shame that only a small amount of them are actually here in person, but you know, that today was for everyone connected to the club, supporters, staff, players, everybody. You know, a really special day for the club, and we have to enjoy this as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, there's only 1,400 here. It feels like so much more, but there's millions around the world. You know what this means to so many of them.
Yeah, that's it. You know, this is why we do this job, is to make them happy. You know, they give us so much support and happiness, and we just want to return that to them. And that's when the trophies are handed out. That's where we have to be, along together with the supporters, and we just keep getting better.
Go back to the celebrations.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Joe, you're champions of Scotland again. Just try and sum up how this feels, if you can.
You know, it's one of them. It's impossible to sum up, but it's great to be in the moment. Great to feel. Even Alan Moyes dancing. Oh my God, it must be a special day.
Oh, and absolutely incredible. I mean, for you personally as well, you've come into this club 2 seasons now, back-to-back champions, but again this season we just seem to take things to a whole nother level again.
Yeah, look, we've been consistent. I think we've got to know each other more as a group. We've got to know the manager's system. He's got to know us. He's got to know how to push our buttons. And look, we had a few missions this season. Champions League, obviously we're disappointed. There's no getting away from that. But the cup competitions, we've been good. And the league, we took care of that as soon as we could. I think to have 1 loss and 2 draws on the way to doing it is not a bad effort.
Yeah, and one last one, as you said, you're a man that lives in the moment. This moment currently doesn't get much better than this, does it?
Amazing, I love it. But I know tomorrow will come and it's just another new day. But these kind of days and these kind of groups that you're in, they make you realise that tomorrow, the new day, is a great opportunity to do something special again.
Jota, you're always a man that says you live in the moment. Yeah. How does this moment feel?
Well, amazing. It's difficult to describe all of this emotion with these fans. I think it's just lovely to be here in this time of my life and to share these amazing moments with the lads. I think it's unbelievable.
At the start of the season, the message every week is to be improved, to keep on getting better. We've been back-to-back champions this season. We've done so by improving on last season as well. Just how does that mean to you?
Well, we knew that this moment could come with a lot of big efforts, a lot of talent, and day by day just improving ourselves. And today was the day. We just want to be better, to be honest. I think the development we have had since last season is unbelievable, and can't wait for the future. Yeah.
Now, will you have your dancing shoes on tonight then?
My what, sorry?
Will you have your dancing shoes on today and tonight?
Yes, definitely.
Look forward to seeing it. There we have it. We've got plenty of opportunities, hopefully, to have some more celebrations between now and the end of the season. We're also going to have the title day itself back here in the last game of the season, and in the Scottish Cup final as well. So lots to look forward to. And this weekend as well, Paul, we've got another match to look forward to, which is the derby at Ibrox against Rangers. How do we... Obviously we go into this one as champions, which is a brilliant feeling, being able to go out with your chest puffed out and know that you're champions of Scotland.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think obviously the dynamic's different because there's no fans there. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what kind of atmosphere is going to greet us. Not be a friendly one, of course, but I think it's good. Well, two things. One is, that there's never been any hint of complacency. The manager will make sure once they come back in this week, and again the players will as well, that they're really switched on for the derby game. We'll not want to lose that. I think it does help the fact we've got a Scottish Cup. So having won the league, there's not 4 fixtures where you want to win them, but they'll still need to keep on top of things because we have this Scottish Cup at the start of June and the chance to win the treble. And I think we spoke about it before that Inverness, Thistle now have 4 or 5 weeks of inaction effectively, which is difficult. Whereas we don't. We've got 2 games here, game Easter Road, and then obviously Saturday. And I think the manager's already said, the fact the pressure's off in terms of just having to get over the line to become champions. That can, some people might think, well, you can switch off. I think this team will be the other way. I think there'll be a sense of, well, let's just go out and show. And we've seen it in the past, Celtic teams that have won the league and gone to Ibrox and then just showed why we're the champions. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, so you're saying about the atmosphere, so you don't think we're going to come out and get applauded on with 50,000 fans?
To be honest, I'll be honest, I think all that stuff about, we should get a guard of honour. I know other teams do it, and that's fine. It's all well and
I
good.
don't like it.
The most important thing is that we win the title. It doesn't really bother me because I know for a fact if the shoe was in the other foot, we're not wanting our team to give a guard of honour to Rangers at Celtic Park when there's no opposition fans. It might seem nice and stuff, but it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I think the only thing that matters is we go there as champions and we win.
That's the thing. It seems in modern football now, it's like you've always got to pat your opposition in the back. You see it in England and things as well, where 2 teams are going neck and neck for the title, and then at the end, the club will put a tweet out saying, "Oh, congratulations to the other team." It's like nonsense.
I think it depends. I think the dynamic of a derby is different.
Yeah.
We've seen. So, for example, I'm sure whether it's St Mirren or even in the last day of the season, Aberdeen for Trophy Day, might do a guard of honour. That's fine. You've no problem with that. I'm sure we did a guard of honour. Was it for St Johnstone maybe after they'd won?
Yeah.
Where they'd won one of their cups.
Yeah, that's right.
So I have no problem with that. A derby's a different dynamic, and it's almost like it's like the Christmas Day truce in the First World War for a day where they all play football and then they go back to killing each other. It's just a bit of a false thing. I mean, it's not going to happen, obviously. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I don't think we should really be indignant about it.
No, I completely agree. But yeah, you're right. There's not going to be any complacency. The manager's not going to let that happen. The players aren't going to let that happen either. And it's a derby match. We're going into this one knowing that if we avoid defeat, we'll go the full season undefeated against Rangers. But also, if you can get a victory and just keep increasing that points gap between the 2 clubs at the end of the season, will be amazing. But there's records to go for this season. We've got the chance, if we win our next 4 games, to finish on 107 points, which is just absolutely mind-boggling to think that that's achievable. I mean, we might not get there, but to have that record in sight, and the manager's spoken as well about wanting to go for the record goals, which I think at the moment we are on 105, and the record is 116 goals in a league season in 1916. So that is achievable.
Yeah, well, absolutely. The way this team plays and the amount of goals and the goals from all over. I mean, I think Saturday will be an interesting game. It doesn't matter. There's never such a thing as a meaningless derby game.
No.
Because you know how you feel. I'm sure from Rangers' point of view, they'll want to, given the fact that they've not won for a while against us, they'll want to try and, especially at home, to try and put a marker down, because they'll look at that as a way of saying, right, we've won, and then we can look forward to next season. So I think that's going to be as fiercely contested as ever. But yeah, the amount of goals that we're scoring on average anyway, I think that record is certainly under threat.
Yeah. How do you think it will pan out? Because so far this year, we've played Rangers 4 times already, in the League Cup, Scottish Cup, and twice in the league, and all the games. Yes, but just this calendar year.
Yeah.
So the games have always been, we've been the better team in pretty much most of them, but in terms of the actual scoreline, the games have been tight as well. Do you expect it to be similar this time around, or do you think we're going to just go out there as champions and just fly through them?
Well, I'd love that to happen. I think that would be more likely to happen here. I think there's definitely a different dynamic to the derby when you're playing in a stadium, in a hostile stadium, when there's, in this case, there'll be 50,000 fans cheering the other side. I think that's going to be a difficult one, and that will maybe give Rangers a wee bit of momentum early on to try and, if they can get an early lead, to try and, get the fans even more up for it. So I think it'll be a tight game, but again, I think like all these games, and it's a bit similar to the Hearts game, I think it's hard for, we've seen it before with Rangers, that maybe they start off and try and press us, but it's hard for them to maintain that level of work, because we move the ball so quickly all over the pitch that you're asking your players to, and asking players if that's not their natural game. And I'm not sure, obviously, what sort of team they'll play, because, Tillman, who's one of their players that they look to, he's out for the season. Morelos didn't exactly get a vote of confidence from his manager at the weekend, so there's a strange dynamic there. But I think ultimately we just go as we've done all season. The manager will just pick the best team, go out and play a football, and then the challenge is for anybody to try and stop us over 90 minutes, and that has proven very difficult this season. I'm
feeling good about it. I think I'm going with the latter, where we might go out there as champions and just go for it. But
I hope you're right.
So do I. I've just got that sneaky feeling. It reminds me a wee bit of when we won 5-1 at Ibrox, because I think we went into that game having just been crowned champions at Tynecastle as well, the game before, I think it was, and then we just went out and absolutely demolished them. So fingers crossed this time around. Now we're going to have a look ahead as well, Paul, in just a minute, to the women's team game here at Celtic Park on Thursday night at home to Glasgow City. But before we do that, I had the opportunity to speak to Martin Compston last week, who was at Celtic Park. He was back over in Scotland for some work duties, so I caught up with him on Friday. So it was before the game on Sunday, so we didn't know if we were crowned champions, but still we sat down, had a chat about this current Celtic team and basically his love for Ange Postecoglou and all these players. So enjoy this interview now, and when we're back we will speak about the women's team. Yeah, absolutely delighted to say we've got Martin Compston in the Celtic View Podcast. Martin,
How you doing?
How are we? Thank you so much for coming in. Nice to be sitting here in Celtic Park.
Honestly, it never gets old. I took my brother and my nephew, I hadn't seen for a couple of months here, and to see the wee man, how buzzing he was to get here, because he's just getting into it, he's getting to that age. But it's funny, even when I got up, I was like, I still don't lose that buzz. It's just the excitement, you just that tingle you feel in it, because it's just, there's nothing like it here, and especially in a game night. But there is also something about it when it's empty, just because, I don't know, it just feels like a bit of magic in there when you're here, and I'm chuffed to be back.
It does though, doesn't it? Because you sit up here and then you just start imagining again those big moments and those goals and
things.
Things.
The quietness before it, it just kind of, it's in some ways it's quite eerie, because you're so used to, like my ticket down there, I was sitting behind the goal for the Barcelona game, when Tony Watt's goal. So it's funny to be sitting there, like probably one of the greatest moments of my life, when this place was in absolute raptures, and then to just see it with this quiet, is the kind of the contrast between the two. But no, it's a special place.
Yeah, it must be nice then to bring the wee man here at 8 years old and he's just getting into it.
It's his first season. He's been to more games than me this season probably, but it's great to see the kind of new generation. And
do you find yourself actually getting more involved in it again because you've now got somebody else getting involved in it?
I think so. So I've got a wee one myself, and I mean he's only 3, but he watches it. I get up when we're at our home in America. The games start quite early, so I'm up early, so I'm on the early shift to watch the game and to get up with the wee fella. And he'll sit with his iPad watching YouTube Kids or whatever, and I've got the game on. But he sits with his Celtic top, and he loves when the goals go in because he sees Dad jump in the boot and he starts shouting Celtic, and he started saying already, like, I want to wear my Celtic top. And that honestly, that's magic. You know what I mean? That it's hard to explain that feeling, and it's something I've always done anyway. But that, I mean, I've been lucky enough to travel and work all over the world, and I tend to kind of bring my Celtic tops with me and give them away, you know, and just give them to people, you know, you meet in these places who don't really have a connection at Scotland or a connection to Celtic, and when you make these relationships and you meet people and you get on with people, and then you give them that kind of thing, and then they've got a connection to the club, and it's something they always look out for. So I do, that's something I've always kind of enjoyed doing. But as I say, with the new generation, my nephew and my son now coming through and seeing like how excited they get about it, it's an amazing feeling.
And it's been amazing because of the football that we've been playing this season and last season under the manager as well. It helps, doesn't it?
Oh, it's funny because, I mean, people always kind of say, like with other teams, they say like glory hunters and all that kind of stuff, but like you're born into Celtic, you know, my brother, my dad, my grandfather and stuff, you don't have any other option. But when I was my nephew's age, I was in my primary school. You know, it was not a happy time to be a Celtic fan when we were growing up. You know, we sort of, I think that's why we appreciate just where we're at as a club at the moment, you know, on and off the pitch, because, you know, when I was 8, 9, 10, the club was a mess and you didn't know if we were still going to be here. So I think we've got a real appreciation just for how far we've come.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we need to make it aware that this is going out after the Hearts game. We're sitting here on Friday, so we don't know what the result is. Yeah. We don't know if we're champions, but it still doesn't matter because the football we've been playing under the manager has just been absolutely superb. Just how much have you enjoyed this football?
The thing is, like, and people say this kind of stuff, not so like that you don't get trophies for playing with style, but that's part of our identity as a club. You know, it's the Celtic way. You know, it's going all the way back to Jimmy Johnson and stuff with my granddad, watching videos of him, the way we attack, it'd be flair. Probably the most memorable seasons of my life would be under Tommy Burns, and it was like, you score 3, we'll score 4. You know, it is part of our identity. And also, when you become sort of used to success in a way and how dominant we've been, to keep the punters entertained, you do have to play with a certain bit of flair. You know, when we had some great teams under Brendan and even Lenny, I think people forget, under Lenny, that was the first time we won a European group outright, you know, and going and beating Lazio away. But this team under Ange seems something special, this style, and it's hats off to the big man, because I think he was such an unknown quantity for a lot of us, and that just made us nervous, obviously, coming back of the Rangers winning the league, and you were just like, you know, where are we at? But I think even for his first press conference, I mean, I'll be paraphrasing him, but when he said, I think the reporter asked him, how does it feel to be second choice? And he says, how do you know I'm not third choice, fourth choice? But he was saying, like, I have the job now. And he just endeared himself to the support. There's just a way about him, you know, and it's not just even just the way his teams play, it's just the way he is and carries himself as a person, the way he's engaged. And his whole team, I mean, we were just talking off camera, like seeing Jota and the Brazen Heat with a bumblebee on, you know, but you know, the Asian boys, they seem to really have bought in to the club and the history of it. And there's a real connection to the fan base right now, which everybody seems fully behind the manager and the club and his vision. And as I say, I was sitting there for the Barcelona game, and I've seen us beat Man U here, I've seen us beat his AC Milan here, I've seen some incredible things, and I think the next step for Ange has to be Europe. But the first half, and at the end of the day, we lost the game, but that first half against Real Madrid, we went toe to toe with them, and I've never seen us do that. Like we were every bit as good as them in footballing sense. And you know, if you relive that Callum shot,
I was just about to say that.
If that goes in, you don't know. I mean, it's still, you're playing the European champions, and they're that for a reason. But I've never seen us really go at a team of that calibre, and really, we did not look out of place, and that is exciting. I say maybe at times, because the gap is so huge with these clubs and they've got so much money, but And people say it's not a plan B, but does he want a plan B? He wants that to be a way of play, and I hope you can see glimpses of it. It was definitely working at points, but it becomes exciting again. I'm looking forward to the Champions League next year.
You mentioned some of the players we brought in, the likes of Jota and Kyogo, and I think that's the thing with this team that is quite rare actually maybe in modern football, and particularly a club like Celtic, which has such a history of great players, that you get players in this day and age that come in, embed themselves with the culture and become real heroes. But every single one of the players the manager signed just seems to have hit the ground running. You must be really enjoying watching them.
Yeah, because you can't second guess him. I mean, like at the time I was getting a bit nervous about Juranovic and I was getting nervous about Big Giakoumakis, but he's got ready-made replacements. I mean, he's if it's Ange and whoever's doing it behind the scenes with him, but his transfer policy has been amazing, and it's a great thing when you're looking at a team right now, and we've got match winners all over the park, and you really couldn't say who's. It's great when you're not quite sure who your favourite player is, because it could be Jota, it could be Big Cameron. I mean, Carter Vickers has been absolutely sensational. Taylor Johnson's come in, you know, obviously the wee man. You've got Kyogo up front, Hatate, Calmac has just been seamlessly stepped into Bruni's shoes, and he's always been a wonderful footballer, and he just became an immense leader of this club. Wee Maeda doesn't stop, you know, so it's a bad that comes on. Like, we've just got an abundance of talent at the minute, and it's a great feeling when, if you think the spark's not happening at 60 minutes and something has to change, you look at the bench and we've got match winners there. It's just a really exciting time to be a Celtic fan.
Yeah, you're obviously over from Vegas where you usually stay, but all of this celebration, all of this winning just means that you're having to get up in the middle of the night and
I've still got the place in Greenock, so we kind of split our time. So the start of the year I got a good few games, and then we've been back over, but that'll be me. I'll be here the rest of the year, I'll be at home the rest of the year now, so hopefully get a couple of games near the end and be ready for next season. Yeah,
but it's just been an incredible time in these last couple of years, and as you said, excited for next season just to see what the manager can potentially bring in and do again, because we just seem to get better and better.
Evolve. Absolutely. That's for everybody who's talking about the challenging stuff that comes to us. I mean, there's no way we're going to stand still. It doesn't seem Postecoglou's style. It seems like he's already 2-3 steps ahead. They've identified where he wants to strengthen in, and if we want to have, look, unfortunately, you're never going to compete in terms of the Champions League and go and win the thing. We're not unrealistic, but you can feel like we can give a few teams a bloody nose. You know, you really feel like we can go at a team, and if we can somehow get out the group or get into Europe, I think the main thing is to be in Europe after Christmas, and I think that's more than a realistic ambition. But I really do. It just seems like this team just keeps changing and getting better, and he's brave as well, because the Bayer Leverkusen game, I think it was, I was sitting in, nobody quite got this inverted fullbacks, and we took a bit of a beating that night, but he stuck to his philosophy, and now it's working, you know. And I think everybody at the time was going, but now you see Greg Taylor and they're scoring goals, whipping balls about, you know. He looks like a number 8 at times, and it's just, it's amazing style to watch. It's really exciting, and I think when you're at home and you're kind of dominating most of the games, that is the one thing you could kind of say, because teams do tend to sit so deep against us, especially domestically. And when you're at game after game and that kind of thing, it can get a bit turgid, but not with this team. You know, they just keep going, and I mean, I'm going to say it, we never stop. You know, it's just, that philosophy just seems to have been absolutely drilled into the players. And I think he said as well that we as a fan base, we don't tend to get as nervous either, because you still think 85, we've still got 5 minutes here. You feel there's always a goal coming.
Yeah, hopefully when this goes out, we're sitting here as champions. Have you got any plans for the weekend if we do see it?
No, I see the real kings, the real coronation happening. I'm heading off to Norway to start filming on Sunday evening, so I'll catch the game and then have a few beers, hopefully celebrating. But either way, it's coming. You know, they've done the hard yards, and it's just about getting it over the line. But as I say, it's just a brilliant time to be a Tim.
Yeah, well, Martin, we're going to stick around, and we're going to do another podcast all about your career and about your early memories supporting Celtic, which will come out in a few weeks' time, so Celtic fans can get ready for that. But for now, Martin, thank you so much.
Thank you, pal. Cheers.
Yeah, there we have it. Always good to hear from Martin Compston, massive Celtic fan over in Las Vegas. I said to him, we filmed a longer kind of podcast as well, which is going to come out in the summertime with him. And I said to him about his time over in Vegas and watching games, being in LA and things like that. And I said to him, it seems like any time we have a big result, there's always like something in the media about you coming in drunk or something like that at like 7 a.m, having watched a big game. But he absolutely loves it, and he's hopefully going to get to a couple of games when he's here. But it's just always great to hear from Celtic fans and their memories and how much they're in love with the club.
Do you know what I think's been a really positive thing here over the last few years? So when I would have grown up, a lot of celebrities wouldn't have nailed their colours to the mast, as it were. You know, certainly maybe people who supported Celtic, they didn't, you know, if they were prominent in the arts world or music world or whatever. And then you obviously had people on the other side who were somehow St Mirren or Airdrie fans, bizarrely enough. But I think it's been a really positive thing that people, you know, of Martin's generation are just quite open and confident and happy to say you're a Celtic fan. And there's, you know, whether somebody supports Celtic or whether they support Rangers or another team, if they're involved in a different world, it doesn't take away from what they're doing as an actor or a musician or whatever. But, you know, I think it just means that they're confident, and obviously you do, you know, if it's your team, you look at them a wee bit more favourably, as it were. So I think that's a really positive thing, that, you know, this current generation of people that are in the public eye, you know, just are quite happy to declare their allegiance to Celtic.
It is funny though when you do find out eventually, if it's a musician or something, that they are a Celtic fan, that all of a sudden you really, really like their music. It's funny how that kind of happens, but don't know if there's a correlation there. But the women's team this Thursday at home to Glasgow City. It's Celtic Park, massive game, and they come into the back of it after a victory on Sunday away to Partick Thistle. That was nervy. A 95th minute winner from Caitlin Hayes. She also scored the other goal in that game, that 2-1 win as well. Just how crucial could that goal be?
I mean, it could prove, once the season's finished, it could prove to be the most crucial goal and the most crucial win of the season, because you were looking at it, just following, you know, the updates on social media, and you're thinking, if we don't win this game, it's going to be really difficult for us to certainly to win the title, but even to finish second, because I think Rangers had won, Glasgow City were winning. So for Caitlin Hayes again to step up, she's had a phenomenal season actually, and so inspirational. But just, you know, to pop up with another goal, and it's just one of those games, I think, where again, it happens to, you know, we've seen it in the past with the men's team as well, that you don't play brilliantly for every second of every minute of every game. There are just certain games that you just get over the line, which they've done. It'll be a totally different proposition. Thursday night, Celtic Park, thousands of Celtic fans are going to be here. The atmosphere is going to be incredible, and the team know that if they can win, it really puts the pressure on Glasgow City with only, I think, maybe 3 games to go. So it's all set up to be. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it actually.
It's getting to the point with Caitlin Hayes and the goals she's scoring, you're starting to question, do you just stick her up front and just leave her there for the full match? Because she's sensational in the other box when it comes to scoring goals for her head.
But the only thing is, if you watch the course of a 90-minute game, she's so important defensively for us, whether that's starting attacks or whether it's negating opposition attacks. I think she's just had an incredible season, and again, you know, we've done interviews with her before, that she has this Celtic background, that she grew up a Celtic fan. There's pictures of her just wearing Celtic strips when she's wee. I think it's the black one with the gold is her favourite.
Black Magic.
There's a real iconic image of her. So I think she's kind of living the dream. And again, you know, we're talking about, I think, positive developments in football. You know, there's lots of young girls who in the past would have, you know, been Celtic fans, but there was no route to playing for the team you support. Caitlin Hayes obviously would have been the same, but now that route's there, but she's then inspiring the next generation. You see it at games with the amount of young fans wearing the kind of the iconic pink headband that she wears.
I might get one as well actually. I could do it.
So that, I think that's brilliant, because then that's inspiring the next. So there'll be, you know, in 10 years time, whoever's doing the View then, you might, I certainly will be doing an interview with a Celtic player, and they'll cite Caitlin Hayes and the other players in the Celtic team as heroes, and there'll be pictures of a Celtic player as a youngster wearing a Celtic kit with a pink headband. That is brilliant, and if we can just get over the line, and if we could become, you know, the champions, I think it just takes our team and the game to a different level again. So, you know, I hope Thursday night is going to be hopefully a special game.
Yeah. If Caitlin Hayes scores the winner against Glasgow City on Thursday, I will come in here in the next podcast with the pink headband on. Any excuse.
Well, you've said it now. So.
Kind of praying that doesn't happen now. So this game, Thursday night, home to Glasgow City. So the way things stand at the moment, we're second in the league on goal difference. We're level in points and 72 points with Rangers. Glasgow City on 77 points. So if we want to win the title, it's pretty simple. We need to win this game.
Yeah, we do, and then it still puts pressure. I think the good thing is if we win, I think the last game of the season for Glasgow City is playing Rangers.
Yes.
And you know, you want the three teams still to be in the running, you know, because Rangers will still be of aspirations, whether or not to win the title, but certainly finish in those top two places that give you Champions League football. So this is the big one on Thursday night. I think we go into it confident because we've beaten Glasgow City the last two games, but they're a very good side, and you know, they from their point of view, they'll be looking at it as if they can win, or probably even avoid defeat, then it kind of they're almost home and dry. So there's so much at stake. There'll not be a lot in it, but you know, I think this team's shown overall throughout the season in the big games that playing lads have turned up and they've done well.
And what could be the difference is the fact that we are playing at Celtic Park, and hopefully, obviously, you can get your tickets for it. I think it's available for free for season ticket holders as well, if that's right. If we get a massive crowd for that and a real push for the girls to get that over the line, that could be a massive difference in the game.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they're going to be playing, obviously, what encourages me is I think the times that we've played here before, we've put on really good performances. The team have really, it's inspired them, and then if you add in the fact that there's going to be thousands of Celtic fans, I think the atmosphere is going to be incredible. I think the Celtic end is just going to be turned into a big kind of singing section for the night. As you say, I think the season ticket holders, I think you can go online and activate your card for that game. So I think it's part of the whole feel good factor of the club. Just now we saw, you know, the young team winning the Youth Cup last week. We were hoping that we see a Glasgow Cup win this Wednesday. We're hoping for this as well. We've now won the title, you know, with the men's team. So yeah, I think it'd be great if we get many people as possible out on Thursday night. Yeah,
fingers crossed. I'm hopeful. I think that home crowd atmosphere might just push them over the line for this one, but fingers crossed for it. You mentioned the Glasgow Cup there. That takes place the night before on Wednesday night. So Celtic again taking on Rangers in that final. And the Youth Cup final, we saw an absolute, I don't actually think we had the chance to properly speak about it in the podcast. We saw a proper ding-dong. Do you think we're going to have a similar outcome in this one as well, in the Glasgow Cup?
Well, listen, if we can win 6-5 again, that would be amazing. I mean, that was an incredible game at Hampden, some incredible goals as well, and you know, maybe some players that you just take a note of their name and I get maybe 2 or 3 years time they're pushing for the first team places. I think there's not much to choose at the B team level. I think both sides finish really near the top of the table, but we've had a couple of really good results against, you know, Rangers
undefeated
in the big games that have mattered in the last couple of games. So again, we have players there that seem to thrive in that big game atmosphere. I think a lot of people, the Glasgow Cup, I mean, it's a spectacular trophy. I think it's maybe the oldest or one of the oldest out with the Scottish Cup that you compete for. It's always great to have it in our trophy cabinet, and over the years it's evolved into this kind of youth tournament. So again, we're hoping that the team can go to Ibrox on Wednesday night, 'cause I think different clubs take turns in terms of staging the final and put on another good performance. So I mean, listen, 1-0, 6-5, whatever, as long as the green and white ribbons are on the Glasgow Cup trophy.
It's a big game for a number of reasons. One, it being a cup final. Second of all, being a derby match as well. And you see it so many times, you just put a Celtic shirt and a Rangers shirt on anybody and then it ends up being a bit of a contest. But also, in terms of the development, which we've spoken about so many times this season, it's been a fantastic season for the B team. But these are the games and these are the types of atmospheres that people in the first team will be looking at these boys and saying, right, okay, how do you handle this situation? So if you can go out and put on a performance and get a big result, then that's only going to do them the world of good in their own development.
Yeah, and I think, you know, from players who end up making it, that they'll always say you don't know who's watching you, when they're watching you, and what it is they're looking for. So every opportunity you get to impress, that you have to take it. And I think that's, again, you know, the players, you know, Callum, McGregor, James Forrest, these guys, that's what they'll emphasise, that any time you get that chance. And we saw the manager was at Hampden last week to watch the youths win. I'm not sure if he's going on Thursday night, but certainly they'll be keeping an eye on that game to see how those players, because they're even a step nearer in some of that squad, you know, like Rocco Vata, Ben Summers, Bosun Law, who was on the bench at the weekend again for the first team. They've had a taste of that, so they're, you know, it still seems a million miles away, but they're not that far away. So as you say, this is an opportunity to also to get into that. You need to be a winner at Celtic as well, so any opportunity you have to win and to beat your city rivals, you need to take it.
All the best of luck to all three teams this week, because it's massive games all around. And that leads us to the biggest thing of all, Paul, which is the predictions. So last week, neither of us actually performed particularly well. I got 4 points, you got 2 points. So at the moment you're sitting, quick maths, you're sitting 7 ahead of me points wise. So we're getting to the real crucial part of the season. Only three or four match days to go. So we've got another 7 fixtures here. So let's start off with the Glasgow Cup final then, Celtic v Rangers.
I think we will win that one 4-2.
Oh, I went for 3-2 in that one. Yeah, hopefully. It'd be great if it was another real high scoring one like the Youth Cup final as well. Celtic women at home to Glasgow City at Celtic Park on Thursday.
I'm going to go for 2-1 Celtic, Caitlin Hayes, last minute goal, and Reimer.
That is a prediction and a half. I think we'll win as well. I'd put down 2-1 as well. I was just trying to think if I want to go different, but I'll stick with it. And yeah, the exact same thing as you said. I'll need to start looking to see where I'll need to text her and see where she gets it.
Well, I'm sure if that comes to pass, then I'm sure Caitlin will have a spare pink headband.
Okay, the one that she scores with, I'll get that off her. Some games from the Scottish Premiership then. There's some, I think obviously with the split, I think it makes it quite exciting because all the teams are playing each other when they're going for these spaces. So first up, Aberdeen against Hibs.
Aberdeen to win that one 3-1.
Yeah, I went for 2-0 Aberdeen there. Dundee United against Ross County.
That's tough. I was surprised that Dundee United lost at the weekend, but I think they'll win 2-1.
Yeah, I think they'll win as well 2-0. But I mean, Ross County got a result against Livingston, and we just don't know what's going to happen at this stage of the season. St Mirren against Hearts.
I think that will be 2 each.
2 each. I'm going to go for a Hearts victory, and that one. St Mirren strong at home, but yeah, I think Hearts might just get it, because then I think they play Aberdeen after that, so they need to win this game. And then on Sunday, it's the Celtic women travel to take on Hibs.
That'll be a tough one, like playing Thursday to Sunday. I think 2-1 to Celtic.
I'm going to go 3-1 with that one. And then finally, the derby match on Saturday, Celtic against Rangers.
4-1.
I'm going 3-0. So both of us are feeling confident with it. Hopefully that does take place and that happens. Brilliant. Well, yeah. Hopefully next weekend we're back here. We've got our Glasgow Cup final in the bag. We've got a big win on Thursday night for the women's team, and they match it again on Sunday. And we've got a derby victory as well. So hopefully there's lots of victories to look back on. But yeah, thanks very much for joining us again. Thank you very much for listening, and make sure that you like and subscribe to the Celtic View podcast and all of your podcast channels, and keep up to date with the Celtic View on Twitter at Celtic View. But for now, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the title celebrations, and hopefully there's more celebrations to come this weekend. Hail, hail.